Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to start the third lecture on artificial neural networks. In this lecture, we introduce the models of the neuron and we'll talk about the active action functions. So, before we switch on, we'll just take a recap of what all has been covered till now. So, in the soft computing, we have understood what is soft computing, what are the different techniques of soft computing, that is neural network, fuzzy logic, and man evolutionary algorithms, in particular genetic algorithm. Then what is a problem complexity and what are the different classifications like NP, NP hard, NP complete and polynomial. Then we understood the difference between hard versus soft computing. That is very important because that makes us realize what we want to apply. Then what are the advantages of soft computing? And finally, some brief introduction to what are neural networks and the comparison between artificial neural networks and biological neural networks. So with this understanding, we move next. So we had talked about briefly about models of the neurons. So as I told you, there are four models of the neuron. MP model, that was the oldest, which was given by McCulloch and Pitts, two scientists, in 1943. So this was the first model to be introduced. Next was a perceptron model. Perceptron model was an enhancement of our MP model, and this was introduced by Rosenblatt in 1958. It was further. Next we come to is Adeline model. Adeline model is very similar to perceptron except with the learning the different. And finally we have Medellin model. So we start with first McCulloch's Pitt model and understand what is it. So this is by McCulloch's Pitt model. As you can see in this, we have x1, x2 and x1 number of inputs, each having a strength identified by a weight matrix given as WI1, I2, I3. So I is actually this neuron to which these inputs are coming, and 1, 2, 3, N, they are all indicating the subscripts of the input which is coming. So this strength WIN is the strength of the interconnection between the ith neuron and the first input. Similarly, WIN will indicate the strength of the interconnection between the ith neuron and the nth input. So all these inputs, they are coming and they are thresholded. Okay. So normally the threshold we have seen it is applied and finally it is passed through an activation and we get an output. Okay. So this was the earliest model, as I told you. In the simplest form, it is mimicking the fire and integrate mechanism of the biological neuron. So it is nothing but implemented as TLU. TLU I mean as threshold and logic unit. That is, you are going to have a threshold unit. If it is above a logic value, it is going to fire the neuron and give you some fixed output, which is going to be binary in nature. So normally the output of the IF neuron that is expressed as this, that is summation of the multiplication of strength of the interconnection coming to the IF neuron to the input which is applied, okay, minus the threshold. So the output it should be given as 1 if the sum product, this is the summation, whole summation that is greater than theta. If the whole summation of all the inputs coming to the IF neuron is not equal to or greater than theta, then the output is going to be 0. So coming to the characteristics of MP model, it takes only the binary inputs, that is by input x1, x2 and xn. They can either be 0 or it can be 1. And similarly, my output can also be 0 or 1. So if the threshold is crossed by the summed potential of all the inputs coming to the neuron, then the output is 1. But if the summed potential is less than the threshold, then my output is going to be 0. Okay. Weights, they have to be identical, but yes, they can be inhibitory or excitatory. When I say inhibitory, it means my weight is going to be negative. When I say excitatory, it means it is going to be positive. It is going to add to the potential which is required to fire a neuron. Inhibitory means it is negative, so it is inhibiting the process of firing of the neuron. So even if single weight is inhibitory, my process or my firing of the neuron is not going to take place. So then we are not going to have output as 1. Output is going to remain as 0. So that we should remember. Even if a single input is inhibitory, the output is going to be 0. Okay. So with these characteristics, we have a good understanding. Now we'll try to apply this empty body for the AND gate. We can see this is the truth table of the AND gate. So in the simplest form, I can think two inputs are being applied and one output has to be there. So I have to know, I know my input is going to be 0 and 1, my output is going to be 0 and 1 because that is the restriction, because input hamesha bipolar, it will always be there, and output will always be bipolar in nature. But I have to understand or calculate or compute that in my this model for AND gate using an MP neuron, what are my weights going to be on these interconnections? What is my threshold going to be, so that I am able to get my output as desired in this truth table. So my first case is when both my inputs are 0, I should have a value coming out which is less than 0. Corresponding to the second row in my truth table, I desire that if my second input B, that is 1, then also my weights and thresholds will be such that my output is going to be 0. In case of third case, again, if my first input, that is A, is going to be 1 and my second input is going to be 0, my value of this equation should be so computed using W1, W2 and theta that it should be negative. And finally, my last case, when both my inputs A and B, they are 1, my value should be positive. So I have to identify some value of W1, W2 and theta that I am able to satisfy all these four cases. So by hit and try, let's say I take my W and W2, but I have one restriction. In case of MP model, my W1 and W2, they have to be equal. Okay, so I assume these values that let's say my W1 is 1 and W2 is 1, my theta is 1.5. So with these values, I will check if all these my four conditions are satisfied or not. Let's start with the checking of first. In case of the first equation, I put W1 as 1, W2 as 1, theta is 1.5. So it would be 1, 0 plus 0, minus 1.5. So the answer is going to be minus 1.5. So it very well satisfies. Next we come to is second case. So in that case, I will have the value for W2. This is going to be 0, first term. Second term is going to be 1 and minus 1.5. So my answer is going to be minus 0.5, which is very well less than 0. So satisfied. Coming to the third case, again, if we compute, it is going to give me 1 for this plus 0 minus 1.5. So answer is going to be minus 1.5, very well satisfied. And this is my last case, where first term is going to yield 1, 1 plus 1 minus 1.5. So the answer is going to be 0.5. So I see with this values of W1 is equal to 1, W2 is equal to 1 and theta is equal to 1.5, my all the four conditions are satisfied. So I can say that my model with these values is going to work perfectly fine for it. And so this is how we can apply my MP neuron model to compute the values or to design an AND gate. So with this understanding, I can see that my MP model can be used to design simple logic gates, but I cannot design any circuit which is having a non-binary. Second very important thing to understand is it doesn't have any training algorithm. Okay. Third thing is it uses abrupt thresholding. When I say abrupt thresholding, it means either it is 0 or 1. Okay. If the value of threshold is satisfied, either the output is going to be 0 or the output is going to be 1 depending upon whether the value what we are getting is above the threshold or is below. So my threshold is going to be a very sharp crisp value, that is a single value. So it is abrupt. So there is next important thing, there is no temporal information processing. When I say temporal it means dealing with time. Okay, so we are not having any sequence of pattern or we are not passing on any information at time t to the next set of inputs required at time t plus 1. So there is no time relationship between the inputs. So it means it is going to be temporal in nature, non-temporal in nature. So no temporal information processing is used. And lastly, it is used for simple logic gates and only linearly separable problems. Now, what are these linearly separable problems? We'll see very soon. For the time being, I am going to just leave this till we are completing all the four models of the. So now we talk about perceptron model. Perceptron model was definitely an improvement over the Macaulay-Fix model. That was the first one. This was introduced by Rosenblatt in 1958. And to talk about that, even the present day networks or the present day models which are being used, they are based on perceptron neuron model only. So this was the most popular and the commonly used model. So what was the change? Let's see that. So if we see this, this seems to be very similar to what we have seen in the MP model. But if we clearly analyze it, we'll find some differences. So when we come to first the structure, it is very similar to MP model where inputs are applied and each of the input, it is multiplied by a weight. Okay, so that denotes the strength and that weighted input, it is summed up together at a summation unit. But here instead of a threshold, we are applying the bias input, which is additive in nature as against the subtractive threshold. Okay. So here the first thing is there was a flexibility which was provided in calculating the output. It was needed by because what does bias mean? Bias means we are trying to move our output in a particular direction. Okay, either for firing the neuron or not firing the input. So accordingly, we can give a weighted input which is of the fixed value to the total sum so that my output could be moved in the particular direction, either positive or negative result to be given as desired. Okay. Next important thing was the output in this case, which is passing through the activation function sigma z denoted here, that was not now only a hard limited function. In MP model, the output activation function was definitely or necessarily going to be a hard limited function, binary output function where the output could be either 0 or 1. Okay, so if the some potential was above the threshold in the MP model, output was 1. If it was below the threshold, it was 0. But here there is no such restriction. You could use any linear function or a nonlinear function as desired in the perceptron model, and so accordingly my output was not fixed to be a binary value. It could be a real value, it could be a bipolar value, any value as computed by your this activation function. Similarly, when I talk about inputs, the inputs which were given to the MP model, they were binary in nature, either 0 or 1. But here in case of perceptron, the inputs they could be 1 minus 1, that is bipolar, or they could be real valued inputs. Okay. Next important thing which was changed was weights. In case of MP model, we only had inhibitory or exhibitory weights. Okay. Exhibitory, I am sorry, it is excitatory. So inhibitory or excitatory weights. Excitatory weights, there was a positive weight which had to be associated with a particular input. That is, any excitatory input had a positive weight connected to it. But one restriction was all the inputs they needed to have the identical weight. Okay, only one of the input that could be inhibitory, and even when a single input was inhibitory, that is having a negative weight, then my output was not going to be there. Output was 0 because my neuron does not fire in case of NP neuron model even if the single input is inhibitory. But this was not the case with the perceptron model. You could have positive weights, negative weights, or even a 0 weight for that matter. But and they could be different on each of the interconnections. So there was no restriction that you were required to have a similar weight or a positive weight or a single negative weight. So the concept of excitatory and inhibitory was removed. The strength of the weight, the strength of the input that was purely measured in the terms of positive value 0 or a negative value. Either it is negative, positive, whatever that was multiplied, and a summed potential was calculated with these positive, negative values, and then they were contributing towards your final output. So it was given by Rosenblatt but modified by Minsky-Peppert. Now Minsky-Peppert in 1969, they actually did what? They pointed out to certain shortcomings of the Rosenblatt model and pointed out that it could not be used for solving the real world problems which are mostly non-linear or uh, not linear in nature. So it needs some modification. But eventually over the time there were number of modifications, and even in today's world we are using the models based on the perceptron given by Rosenblatt. So that did not work much what was pointed out by Minsky-Peppert, but it came as a major critic in 1969 and led to major modifications in the learning algorithms and the network structures and the perceptron structures over the time. Okay, so as we as given by Rosenblatt, the perceptron model, in that inputs they were not limited to binary. The outputs also they were not limited to binary. The weights and the threshold they could be non-identical on the each weighted connection coming from the input. It was most important thing. It was governed by a learning rule. So temporal processing was involved now. Okay, which was absent in the MP model. So whatever was my output coming as at the t instant of time, that was being fed back at t plus 1 instant of time as input. So that led to improvement in the weights on the interconnections. So it was governed by a learning algorithm which was absent in case of MP model. We'll see what is perceptron learning later. Okay, but definitely it came into being with the perceptron model, which was iterative learning, rule governed model, and used temporal information processing. Okay, again as I told you, output could be mapped to a bipolar output or it could be mapped to any linear activation function depending upon what function has been employed. A bias input was used, which could be a fixed bias value of +1 or any fixed value +1, -1, or it could be used as a threshold. So that flexibility was given in the. So we take the example of a simple NAND gate for perceptron to understand how it works. Uh, so NAND gate, it exactly works opposite to AND gate. So if any two inputs they are going to be 1, the output is going to be 0, else the output is going to be 1. So as a basic model, I know that I have two inputs A and B. I need to have a summation unit. I need to have an activation function and finally receive my output Y. Okay. Now, what we need to determine is first the weights which are there, bias or threshold as required. In our case, I'll take a bias for perceptron. Activation function, if I see my output is already in the form of binary as 0 and 1. So that decides my output or the activation function to be, it is necessarily going to be a hard limiting function. That is your binary function, similarly to what we had used in NP. So in this case, it is going to be a hard limiting function, giving the output as binary. Okay, so to determine this, I need to evaluate this equation, which is A into W1 plus B into W2. So how do we go about it? How to decide these weights in the bias? Let's say I fix my bias to be 1. Okay, I want my output to be fired in majority of the cases. So I bias my output towards positive value and I take it to be 1. So with B as 1, my first case would be when none of the input is contributing. So in that case, I want a positive value to be coming because my output required is 1. Okay, and output is going to be 1 for the binary output when the value is greater than 1. Okay. Similarly, for the second case, when my input A is not contributing, my weight W2 plus 1, they should give me a value greater than 0. Again, a positive value to get the output as 1. Third case, again, my input B is not contributing, but my input A is going to contribute with the weight W1. So the equation will reduce to W1 plus 1. That should be greater than 0. Positive. So normally, if in these three cases we see any value of W1 and W2, any positive value is going to be suitable because we require all the values greater than 1. Since we have already biased our output with +1, our output is already going to be positive. So if until these values they are present or they are present as a positive value from the two inputs, my all the this equation is going to be satisfied. So that gives me a lot of values for W1 and W2. Okay, but if I go to my fourth case, where I want my value to be negative. Okay, so the value, this is for +1 is definitely positive. Bias has to be there because it is a fixed input, so it is going to contribute to all the cases. Now, if my weights are positive, it will yield a positive value. Positive plus 1 is going to be positive. So that tells me that I should have some value which should be negative for these weights. Okay. So one thing I'm very clear, my weights should now be negative. Now if we evaluate the other three equations, if I'm having a negative value and my value it surpasses 1, again it is going to be violating this case. So it is not possible. So I want negative values, but those negative values which are less than 1. So based on that knowledge and using this understanding that my weights need not be equal in the perceptron model, let's say I choose my weight values to be W1 is minus -0.6 and W2 is minus -0.55. So let's see what values we are getting for each of the case. First case, 0 plus 0 plus 1, 1. Good enough. Next to go 0 plus minus 0.55 plus 1. So it would be 1 minus 0.55 giving a positive value of 0.45, which is satisfying the condition. Now the third case again, this is the contributing weight, which is minus 0.6. So minus 0.6 plus 1, that is equivalent to 0.4 as our output, which is again a positive value, so well satisfied. And coming to the last case, minus 0.6 minus 0.55. So the negative value sum is going to be minus 1.15 plus 1. So answer is going to be minus 0.15, which is good. It is a negative value, so it satisfies. So now I can say that based on the perceptron, I can have a model of two input NAND gate as given by this, where B is fixed value of 1, both the inputs are binary, output is binary, and my weights are going to be negative as minus 0.6, 0.5. We could have also chosen in this case the inputs to be bipolar. That is, 0 could have been represented as minus 1, minus 1. So you can try solving the same NAND gate problem using different values of threshold for a bipolar input and a bipolar output NAND gate. So with this, we understand how the perceptrometer is going to work and we understand the capabilities of perceptrometer. Next we come to is Adeline model. Now Adeline model, it stands for adaptive linear model. It is very similar to perceptron, especially if you see the model as such. It is going to have the same things: inputs, weights, neuron, having a summation unit, and a activation function. But what difference it has from a regular perceptron is in its learning and restricting the bias and or the threshold always to plus 1. So output of adaptive linear model is restricted to bipolar output, that is minus 1 plus 1, because it is going to work only for the linear activation functions. It is not going, stands for adaptive linear. Okay, so it means the output has to be adapted to a linear output. Bias is always going to be 1. Okay, this is preferred for pattern classification problem. So it is based on supervised delta learning model. So details of this we are going to understand again when we go for these learning rules. We need to know these learning rules before we can evaluate what governs the gate operation in that. But as of now, we should understand it is going to use feedback, which is the error between the expected and the actual output. So for a given input, we know the actual output. Okay, we know the expected output, sorry, and we compute the actual output, and the difference of the two is going to give me error, which is going to be used for gate operation, and the tool is called delta learning rule. This is again the model. Inputs are coming, all these are weighted through these weight matrix. So there is a output coming from the summation unit, and again a thresholding function, bipolar thresholding function is applied. So not much of difference in the working, only differences in the learning group that we have to see when we go through the learning groups. Then we have Madeline networks. Madeline is nothing but it stands for many Adeline. That is many adaptive linear networks. So if you clearly see, bias of 1 is applied, and if I draw the lines clearly, so if I draw a line here where my cursor is moving, okay, you can see. Just need to go to the last slide. So if I apply a line here, this is going to be one adaptive linear model, and this is going to form another adaptive layer of adaptive linear model, and this is the third one. So it is acting as a combination or the cascade of number of linear adaptive linear models, and it is required to use to solve or use for the classification of non-linear problems. Now, when I did first model, that is NP model, I told you it is going to be used for linearly separable problems or as a linear classifier. So after doing all the four models, we will now try to understand what is linear separability. The next lecture.